Welcome to the Sushi Swap Onsen AMA, where we bring on projects that have partnered through the Onsen program and give them a platform to reach a larger audience. Marek from Celo is here with us today. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, we'll get into some interesting stuff here with Ceelo right away. I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming on, joining us. We do have two places for you to ask questions. We've got the AMA Text Questions channel. Feel free to ask questions that way, or as we get going here, give it 10 or 15 minutes for us to kind of warm up and introduce some ideas here about Ceelo, and then we can get you to put your hand up and we'll have you up on stage. You can ask Marek directly your questions. So really liked seeing people up here. So hopefully we can get some questions up on stage. So yeah, cool. Well, Marek, if you don't mind, just give us a quick intro and some background and your involvement in Ceelo.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I would say I'm at this point a serial entrepreneur. Started 3 companies now. Um, my first one was out of MIT. Just in general, I have a tech background. I was doing a PhD at MIT in distributed systems and parallel systems. And out of MIT, I ended up starting a machine learning company about 10 years ago. That company did well. And got acquired a couple of years later. And then 4 years ago, teamed up with kind of the same CEO I had then, Rennie Reinsberg, and a former MIT professor. And the 3 of us started Celo. And then most recently, we spun out Valora out of C Labs, a company that's kind of contributing to the Celo platform, and working on that.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so like maybe you just, if you don't mind telling us a little bit more about the origin story of Ceelo.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started looking to do something new 4 years ago, I think at that point we had all had a successful company under our belts, and Sep, that former MIT professor, he had done multiple companies. In fact, he sold a personalized search company to Google in 2002. And invented a lot of really exciting things. And so we wanted to be pretty, I think, um, kind of picky about what we wanted to do. So we ended up spending a good half year really ideating and thinking about what's the most impactful thing that we can focus on. And um, we hadn't been in crypto at the time, although while at MIT, I definitely did research that was very relevant. And we also started our first company out of Tim Berners-Lee's lab, and he was at the time doing things around kind of the original Web3, this kind of vision he had for kind of decentralized data using the semantic web. And so we had a pretty good grasp of everything, but we were ideating many different ideas. We almost did something in the telemedicine space, which obviously would have been pretty impactful right now. But the more we looked at kind of the opportunity that crypto was presenting towards really advancing financial inclusion, the more we realized that there was nothing by even a long shot that was more exciting than working on that.
Yeah.
And so we actually started by trying to build a kind of consumer application on top of Ethereum that really would be kind of the Cash App, or kind of like a decentralized Venmo, something that would just make it really easy to send stable value, between phones. We knew early on that we had to target phones for this to be really big, and we wanted to make it really easy and usable. But when we tried, we weren't really able to do so with kind of what we had at the time in 2017 on Ethereum. It was just too difficult to built something that was easy enough to use and that worked well enough on mobile. The Lite client, and we wanted it to be decentralized, 100% decentralized. And the Lite client on Ethereum back then, and obviously to this day as well, is just too heavyweight. You have to download gigabytes of headers. It just doesn't work. Public key derived identifiers just intimidate people a lot, and sending stable coins without you owning ETH is just particularly difficult. And so instead we ended up actually building the platform that could enable that application. And so that's kind of 4 years of hard work. And so that platform is Celo. And about a year and a half ago now, the community stood the network up. It's fully decentralized. C-Labs, the company that, again, kind of built a lot of the software, has never run any nodes, and to this day doesn't run any nodes. And it's got a nice kind of proof of stake, very, very efficient consensus protocol that we built out. And it has all of those features that have now allowed us to build wallets on top of the platform that really kind of fulfill that original kind of vision that we had 4 years ago.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, to being able to be so accessible, and really nice to hear the word decentralized used so many times too. Yeah, that's really awesome stuff. I do see like DeFi for the people is something that you guys are really touting, and would love to have you expand more on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so for us, everything is around accessibility and designing for all. Um, and and so that includes our incentive program. Our goal really is to have just a rich ecosystem of DeFi on Celo that everyone on their mobile phones can access. And in order for that to exist, and in order for the fees and the slippage and the features to all be really, really compelling, we need obviously a lot of liquidity. And so that's why we announced kind of the DeFi for the people incentive program. Yeah, by all counts, it's been a big hit. Already there's just under 1 billion TVL now locked on Celo, and that number keeps growing. And yeah, it's just been really, really exciting and humbling to see the reception from the overall kind of community.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's wonderful to hear. With you can talk about the mobile devices and being able to send and making it kind of almost mobile first in this sense. Yeah, let's maybe expound on how like mobile devices are used along with like the numbers and how you connect that to your wallet, and talk about the wallet a bit too.
For sure. So if you think about it, right, if we want to build something that um, acts and feels like a decentralized Venmo or a kind of decentralized PayPal, or yeah, Cash App, what are the things that you need, right? You need um, obviously it has to be on mobile, and so you need an actual efficient like client that can realistically kind of connect to the P2P network in a fully decentralized manner. And this, I get pushback sometimes, right? Because a lot of mobile apps in the Web3 space today just use a RPC node. And I think it's great, right? Like I think it's gotten us to where we are today. But if we really want to kind of build a decentralized future, a decentralized financial infrastructure that works everywhere, it has to be decentralized on your phones, right? The RPC nodes are prone to surveillance, they're prone to censorship. Um, it's hard to imagine having a truly kind of decentralized kind of monetary system that doesn't offer you the ability for like clients to connect to the network in a fully decentralized P2P manner. And so that's number one. And so the Celo platform has kind of a proof of stake consensus protocol. It uses the BLS 12377 elliptic curve for signing headers. That curve is nice because it allows us to aggregate all the signatures into a single multisig that's the same size as a regular signature, which means that as we add validators, we don't kind of increase the header size. But more importantly than that, it's a curve that is particularly snark friendly and allows us to create snark proofs that effectively prove that a header is part of the chain. And that's really, really compelling. It allows, these snark proofs are about a kilobyte in size. They take milliseconds to verify, even on kind of low powered mobile phones. It's just such a great way to have mobile phones actually sync with the chain. Just download the header, download the proof, verify the proof, and you know that the header is in fact part of the chain. And if the block number on the header matches the current time, then you're good to go.
Yeah, perfect.
And so that's the first big thing that we did to make Ceelo work really well on mobile phones. The second thing is around identity. I mentioned that public key derived addresses are a little intimidating for people. I think for everyone in the audience, I think they're totally fine. We know and we love them. We know not to. We know that if we make one mistake in each character, that the funds are lost forever, and this doesn't really intimidate anybody because we have so much experience with this. But if we're really gonna bring DeFi to billions of people, we need something that's a little easier for people. And the thing that we created is a way to effectively map an encrypted version of your phone number to your wallet address by verifying your phone number in a fully decentralized manner. And when we do that, we also have a nice kind of protocol around decentralized protocol with the rate limiting around looking up these phone numbers. We basically are able to have people send you payments to your phone number instead of to your public key derived address. And from a usability perspective, that's huge. Suddenly we can abstract all of the address stuff away, and you can just use phone numbers for your identifier. And I think more critically than that, it allows you to use your contact list as a way to actually find people that you want to send, for example, a payment to. And that means you can actually look people up by their name, right? So for, again, coming back to this decentralized Venmo idea, we want to make it really easy for people to be able to send money to people that are in your contact list. This really enables that. And I think even more excitingly, it actually also enables you to send the payment to someone before they've signed up. And so, this is something that Web2 companies have used for a very long time as a kind of a growth hack. PayPal does this, Cash App does this, and Coinbase does this too, of course. But it's really hard to do this in a fully decentralized way, right? You need your private public key pair to receive funds. Otherwise, you don't have an address to receive them at, right? And so, by using phone numbers, you can actually send funds to an escrow smart contract that only releases them to a particular verified phone number. And so we built flows now that effectively allow you to do this, and it's fully seamless, and wallets kind of redeem those funds once users sign up. And the end result is you have this just magical experience of being able to send payments to phone numbers, and even if the recipient hasn't yet signed up. So that's the second big, I would say, kind of innovation on the platform. And then the third one is around stability. When we started 4 years ago, I think Maker hadn't launched yet, USDC hadn't launched yet, and so we worked on and at the time also, it just wasn't clear whether algorithmic or crypto-backed stablecoins would even be able to be stable. And so we leaned into this and kind of developed our own senior shared based algorithmic stablecoin that's also kind of crypto over collateralized. And I think in this day and age, these things are not that exciting and new. But the one thing that I would say is really cool is we worked hard to allow um, transactions to be payable using ERC20 tokens on the Celo platform. Now, not all ERC20 tokens, because that could kind of lead to a bit of a mess. But whitelisted tokens through on-chain governance on Celo. A lot of things on Celo are fully governable through on-chain governance. We actually built a lot of these protocols in Solidity, kind of on top of the platform itself, and so we have this way to change a lot of parameters and to kind of upgrade the whole system. And one of the things that's changeable through governance is kind of this whitelist. And so right now, the Celo dollar and the Celo euro are both whitelisted, which means that you can pay for gas on the platform with Celo dollars, and the euro. And certainly excited to see other folks kind of make proposals to add their own tokens to that list. But where this, I think, really shines is, again, in that kind of Venmo use case, the social wallet use case. If you're sending a payment to someone and you're sending a stable coin, you can do so without having to worry about having any other currency in your wallet to cover the fees. If you kind of imagine, what Venmo would look like if it had a Venmo coin that was volatile and you had to use that to pay for every transaction, it would just be too intimidating. And so we worked really, really hard to kind of not require that. And I think maybe for this community, this is also pretty interesting and exciting, because if you think about the kind of future where we're going, if you're using a centralized exchange, the first thing you do is do a bank transfer and you cash in, and then you have some fiat on the exchange for you to start making purchases. Maybe you're waiting for the next dip or something. On a DEX, what you really want to do is you want to cash into a stable coin, and then wait a little bit until you're comfortable, and then go and make your purchases. And for those first-time users who are completely new to crypto, you want that to be as easy as possible. And if you can pay for gas with stable coins, then suddenly the experience actually can be competitive with centralized exchanges, which I think is just really, really exciting from an accessibility point of view, and just kind of having DEXs continue to grow, and just outperform centralized exchanges. So I'm particularly excited about that as well.
Yeah, that's super cool that you don't need to worry necessarily about the particular native token, using it as gas. Being able to come over and use, so that as of now, you're saying that the Ceelo token, the Ceelo USD, and Ceelo Euro are all usable as a form of gas for sending payments on chain.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's really cool. I just also wanted to tie back towards like the wallet and mobile numbers. You can so just wanted to clarify that it's you can still accept and receive payments with your traditional wallet address.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then that's
Encrypting your funds are still secured by that private key. We use a trusted execution environment in the Apple Enclave to kind of secure those things, and the phone number is really just more of, you can think of it as a pointer, to your wallet.
so we could kind of look at it like an ENS address, same type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Except you have to prove that you have that phone number using this decentralized protocol.
Right. And then as far as let's say you change your number, now how do we how does that work? How do I make sure? Oh, geez, I dropped my phone and lost my phone, whatever. Then if I change my number, how do I go ahead to access my value or my funds on there? How do I verify that it's me and all that?
Yeah, so again, your funds are always secured with your private key, so you would recover those funds the same way you would with any wallet. And we are working on ways to make that easier. One wallet, the one that I'm most familiar with, Valora, has deploys a smart contract wallet on chain, and we're working on having some multi-factor based account recovery flows that are hopefully easier than what we're seeing with kind of Argent and kind of the design that they created. And so all of that is, of course, programmable, and you can always kind of innovate on that front. But when it comes to the phone number itself, if you lose your phone, chances are you'll get a new SIM with the same phone number. So you really just have to recover your wallet, and then you're good to go. If you get a new phone number, then you can verify that phone number and map it to your wallet. The protocol allows for kind of many-to-many mappings, and so
Nice.
that also works.
So you could even have like if you had a dual SIM and you had two phone numbers, you could even utilize that on the same wallet address.
In theory, the platform supports it. I think Valora hasn't added that yet explicitly to the UI flows, but it could pretty easily.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then as far as like getting over to Ceelo, you guys have the optics bridge. You want to just talk about that a bit and let people know how that all works and how to, what to expect with it.
For sure. Yeah, so optics, it's the brainchild of James Presswich. It's a pretty elegant design for a trust minimized kind of communication standard, not just a bridge between EVM compatible chains. The way to think about it is, we're working hard to make this be kind of the IBC of kind of EVM compatible chains. And it's trust minimized because it has a really elegant kind of token economic model with and a whole bunch of Merkle proofs that make it much easier much harder for an attacker to actually do what everyone's worried about with these multi-sig based bridges and kind of steal people's funds. And so it's not 100% kind of permissionless the way that a like client like bridge is. But if you want to have very, very low gas fees and kind of communicate between EVM compatible chains, we think that this design is like 90% of the way there compared to those like client based bridges. But still, have a cheap enough gas fee that people actually want to use it. So it's super exciting, really, really interesting and new tech. It's available right now on Polygon, Ethereum, and Celo, and we're going to be adding more chains imminently. And it has a really nice programming API. You can build these things called zaps, cross-chain apps, that allow you to effectively send kind of communication messages between chains. And of course, there's a token bridge zap already built that allows you to kind of move tokens over from Ethereum, from Polygon, and then from Celo, and vice versa. And so you can access the GUI of this token bridge zap on optics.app. It's also in the bottom left corner of the sushi app when you're connected with a Celo wallet. So definitely check that out. Currently, there is roughly 3.5-ish hour latency for the bridge, and we're working on adding instant transfers in the coming weeks. It's actually all built. The way the protocol works is anybody can market make and allow people to have instant transfers, and there's a few market makers that are excited and they're just getting set up. And so that will come. But for now, you'll want to wait kind of those 3.5 hours, and that's the same latency in any direction across the bridge. The one thing I'll point out though is while you can move things directly from Polygon to Celo, the WETH that the bridge uses is always the or the token that you're bridging is always a token that kind of was bridged to that particular chain using optics. So if you want to bridge WETH from Polygon to Celo, this has to be WETH that was previously bridged from Ethereum to Polygon using the optics bridge. And so that sometimes confuses people. It'd be good for a DEX on Polygon to start offering that pair so that people can start trading without that. But otherwise, it's really easy to use. The GUI is really nice. We worked really hard to make it very, very polished. So check it out. And yeah, lots of incentives, obviously, on Sushi right now to chase. So highly recommend taking a look.
Yeah, nice. And just for people on Polygon, as that one kind of got a little bit, I'm sure some people have questions about that. As Polygon people that are over there and familiar with it, like the cost of doing business over there is relatively affordable versus being on mainnet. What is maybe the simplest way for them to bridge over? Like, what's a recommended asset that's easy to import or like to port over to Ceelo if they were going to come from Polygon? Like, if I've got WETH over there and I'm concerned that I'm going to mess it up, what if I just transfer to what token should I look at, or what's something to make sure that it goes smoothly?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've seen people bridge over the POS version of USDC from Polygon, and there's a few DEXs on Celo that now have some liquidity for that asset. So that's definitely one way. Yeah. I think we could probably add to the GUI, the Polygon WETH actual asset as well, and have people potentially convert it on Celo for the kind of optics WETH. There's always a question around how do you support all of these kind of liquidity flows without then also creating a lot of confusion for the broader public. And so we're definitely open to feedback. If anybody has any suggestions, to definitely drop them in the chat. But obviously if you don't want to get out of WETH, then one way is through Ethereum, but obviously that's more expensive.
Right. Okay, cool. And I just wanted to mention, anybody please hands up and we'll get you up on stage to ask questions. And otherwise, the AMA text questions chat, we can bring your questions in that way. I do see one here, as we were just talking about the mobile wallet here, and Valora. I don't know if you see that one, but Valora gives a connection timeout when trying to scan QR code for Ubiswap. Anything on that?
Yeah, I would definitely check in with the Ubiswap team. And if you're using Wallet Connect to do that, you can also try just using the Valora connection as well. Valora has its own wallet kind of connect API that I think Ubiswap supports, so I would try that as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we've kind of touched on stable coins here a bit with this CUSD and the C-Euro, and USD, sorry, and the C-Euro. Yeah, with that, and then with being able to provide liquidity for that as well. Yeah, that's all available on Sushi now. Both of those are accessible, so if you've got one of those assets, you can swap into the other one and gain exposure to that. Are you looking to bring on any other pairs anytime soon? Or it's not pairs, but I guess the other
stable
stables.
coins.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the goal is really to have pretty much every country covered. And so we're working on a plan to kind of get there. The design is pretty elegant. The reserve is shared across all assets, but you can have different kind of protection measures for each asset that effectively isolate the reserve from kind of a potential Oracle attack on just one particular asset. And so that really allows us to scale quickly. And I think given Celo's kind of focus on kind of bringing DeFi to everyone, LATAM, Africa, Southeast Asia, these are real big markets for us, and so it just makes sense for us to have stable coins for each of these. So the Brazilian real is currently, for example, being worked on, the Filipino peso as well, and so there's a lot of work being done on that front. There's also a community stablecoin, the West African franc, that someone created. That one was easy because the West African franc is pegged to the euro. And so when we created the Ceelo euro, they were able to kind of create that really, really easily. And so that's now circulating throughout parts of West Africa, which is really exciting. And of course, whenever we kind of add one of these stable coins, we always do the governance proposal to add it to be a gas currency. And so again, that just makes it really, really easy for people to kind of send these things and to use them to pay for kind of transaction fees.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, just again want to mention to everybody here in the audience, please raise your hand. We'll get you up on stage to ask any questions and to continue to bring questions in from AMA text questions from that channel. So thank you. Yeah, and then as far as like, on the sushi side here, yeah, I don't know, you want to talk about, I guess the launch through sushi here and how that's all gone, and just talk a little bit about the liquidity mining and yeah, we can kind of get into a bit of that stuff.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the launch has so far been, everything looks really great. Obviously, it's amazing to see. I think we were looking at it. I forget the exact number, but I think it was just under $30 million in liquidity in less than 24 hours flow in. That's incredible. And of course, the incentives are still, and the APYs are still very high. So there's still lots more to come. So yeah, just super excited, and honestly, just really excited to be kind of working closer with the sushi community. I think I've always been a big fan of everything you guys have done, and really, I think pushing the envelope on multi-chain. Really, I think also showing people the way, right? I think so many more dApps and DeFi protocols have now gone multi-chain after kind of sushi paved the way, and so it's just been really, really exciting. And since there are lots of stable coins on Celo and more to come, also very, very excited to see for the Trident launch to come out. I think that will be really cool for those stable coin pairs. And then with optics, since you can program these apps to do honestly anything, we're looking, and I think there's a community member also looking at this, at building an NFTs app that lets you move NFTs over using the optics bridge to anywhere. And so obviously super excited for Show You as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, just it's it's really great to be working on these things together. It's great to be part of the community.
Yeah, wonderful. No, I'm happy to have you here, and yeah, getting some good traction it seems, and yeah, people excited about these pools. And yeah, thank you, Zappuccini, for tossing in those that image there for of just the quick shot of the farms. So yeah, that's it's increased dramatically here, even over the past 8 to 12 hours. But yeah, cool. And again, just for anybody that's also wondering, if you head over to, I'm just going to click on this to make sure. Yeah, even on the swap page, pool page, and farm page, if you go down to the bottom left-hand corner, there is the Ceelo bridge there that takes you over to the optics bridge. So if you're looking to bridge your tokens over, you can do it right there. So pretty handy, pretty slick. Yeah. And then as far as like, yeah, for you guys, I see a lot of like Earth and green initiatives. Yeah, that's really cool. And again, yeah, as you continue to kind of be more of a global innovator and DeFi for the people, what have you guys got going on here with like some of those initiatives?
Yeah, great question. So we've we have this advisor, this kind of philosopher slash author, Charles Eisenstein, who wrote something really cool. He wrote this book called Sacred Economics, and in that book, he talked about this idea that we were really inspired by. And mind you, he wrote this like before Bitcoin, which is also really cool. And this idea revolves around the fact that whatever backs money, people tend to value more of in the world, right? So when gold backed money, people would value gold a lot. They would go out and mine it, even individually, and then try to trade it in for money. And um, and so what Charles Eisenstein kind of suggested is, wouldn't it be amazing if we could back money with the things that we want to see more of in the world? What if we backed money by pristine rainforests, things like that? And at the time, it's like an interesting idea, and you kind of think about it for a minute, and then you flip the page. But in this Web3 world, this is actually suddenly feasible, right? So the Celo reserve that backs all these stablecoins right now is just under $100 million in size. Sorry, just under $1 billion in size. And so that's a lot of collateral that imagine if that was actually backed by something like tokenized trees, that would be really, really impactful. In fact, I think at the current reserve size, we recently did the math and priced out how much rainforest you could potentially buy. And so say that, over the next, 4 to 10 years, 40% of the reserve was backed by kind of natural capital, by these kind of tokenized trees. Then that would actually get us to 0.5% of the IPCC goal for how much carbon we have to sequester to avoid kind of the catastrophic effects of climate change by 2050. And so this is, really exciting and ambitious. And the only way to do this is to do it with a ton of companies that are tokenizing these things, right? If you do it with just a few, it's not decentralized anymore. And so it has to be like a whole movement. And so we recently announced the Climate Collective, which is kind of a community of companies that are interested and excited by this idea. And together we're trying to inspire and get that movement going. And it's been growing day by day since we announced. And so it's been really, really exciting to see. Yeah, and then we also registered for the Elon Musk $100 million carbon removal X Prize. This is kind of the biggest X Prize in history, and we think that this idea of actually using a stablecoin mechanism to actually buy up kind of and create demand for these tokenized trees, we think that this is kind of competitive in the project, and so it's interesting. And I mean, if you think about it, it just makes so much sense, right? Like you can donate billions of dollars to go and plant trees to help fight climate change, or you can just have your money be backed by those things. And then, rather than going out and having to fundraise all that money, you just have to kind of get people excited about using your stable coins, using your currencies. And so that's kind of the latest news. We took the first step already in this direction, and 0.5% of the reserve is currently backed by Moss carbon offset credits, and those are primarily based off of kind of rainforest parcels in the Amazon, and so it's just really, really exciting.
Yeah, that's
And this is also on top of the chain itself being carbon negative. And so the Celo blockchain has block rewards that automatically buy carbon offset credits from Project Ren. And so even though there's very little electricity used compared to a proof of work network, we want it to still be carbon neutral. And since the price of Celo has gone up, we've actually done more than that. We're fully carbon negative. And so if you're looking for, if you care deeply about climate change and you're looking for kind of a network that, has kind of aligned views with you on that, then look no further.
yeah, very cool. That's awesome. You guys are headed that direction with that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to point out that you are talking about physical trees, not just NFT of trees.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, tokenized trees or NFTified trees, but they have to represent real trees,
Yeah,
and there
no,
has to be
I was just
some protocol in place to actually verify that those trees are in fact
right.
there.
I was just kind of
And
making
so a lot
jokes.
of people are thinking about these kind of problems these days, and it's it's ambitious, and we have to be thoughtful here because the stability of the stablecoin is 100% the most important thing, and so I don't think we were gonna kind of barge into anything. But I think over the next 4 to 10 years, I think we can do something really really compelling.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, as far as like outside of that, like with community and kind of some other philanthropy and giving back, yeah, obviously the carbon and like the being neutral or negative rather is is really cool. But you guys have also got some like giving back initiatives as well.
Yeah, in the community. So the there's actually a protocol called Impact Market that built on Celo early on, and they've been just absolutely killing it. They use smart contracts and the Celo platform to disperse micropayments to large numbers of people. So they've raised multiple millions of dollars, and they're kind of giving on the order of 50 cents a day to tens of thousands of people now. If you go to impactmarket.com, you can certainly donate there as well, but you can also click on their kind of view global dashboard button, and you'll see a heat map of everywhere where they operate. Places like Brazil, Venezuela, Ghana, and recently they also started running a program in Afghanistan. So it's just really heartwarming to see, and they have a DApp, but they also use Valora for people to kind of redeem those funds. And then spend them in their communities. And so what we've seen is, initially people would be like, what is this? I don't trust this money. It's internet money. So they instantly would cash out. Then, of course, since everything is, since Impact Market gives out US dollars, Celo dollars, people started saying, okay, well, maybe I should hold on because it's a good hedge against inflation. Valora also offers some incentives and rewards for holding a balance in the wallet. And so that also motivated people not to cash out instantly. And then that actually got merchants interested in those communities because they also wanted to earn those incentives. So they started accepting Celo dollars. And so now, throughout a lot of markets where Impact Market is operating, we have these whole entire communities where people are transacting with Valora using these stable coins. And it's just, really, really heartwarming to see. And when you hear the testimonials from these people and, they talk about how much it's changed their lives during COVID, it's just really, really amazing. There was a community in Brazil that wanted to organize kind of a Valora fair where every transaction in the municipality was supposed to be on Valora for that whole weekend. COVID put a damper on that. They painted a mural instead, and it's just really really cool. So yeah, a lot of just real use cases for crypto. Really focused more on payments than we've seen on other networks. And really, we're excited. Satoshi's vision early on was all around payments as well. And so it's just really cool to see more and more payments happening on blockchains.
Yeah, nice, nice. No, it's a very good to hear and see, and yeah, you guys are doing great stuff. So, yeah, again, if we have any questions there from audience, please don't feel free to raise your hand. We'll get you up on stage to ask. And if anything else there, please in the AMA text questions. I do see one here about when swapping between PUSDC and CUSD. They're looking at like a 1.5% difference. I'm guessing that it's maybe due to liquidity and just price impact and maybe fees and whatnot. I think that's kind of what's going on there. That looks relatively close to me anyhow.
Yeah, and I'm not sure which DEX this person's using, but I think I think what I'm hearing from this audience is that maybe maybe we should incentivize a pool on Sushi that has a Polygon asset that can be bridged over.
Yeah,
maybe
cool.
That's the solution.
Yep.
So that folks can then have that liquidity. So I think it's really good feedback, and of course, we just launched the incentives program yesterday, so we're definitely looking to iterate, and I think that's amazing feedback.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I know a lot of people will be wanting to come across from Polygon, and yeah, that way it's cheap over there, and instead of mainnet here, because some days just depending on the time of the day and what's going on in the network, but mainnet is some days it hurts. It hurts to participate, but yeah, it's nice to have these kind of solutions, and yeah, thank you for offering and building that. So yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions. Please let's ask them, but I think we're getting close to a good time to wrap up here. Marek, have you got anything else for us that you want to cover or touch on? Oh, we got a hand. Oh, thought we had a hand. No, we don't have a hand. Yeah, go ahead, Marek, if there's anything else that you want to cover or touch on.
Yeah, maybe just one last thing. I think obviously kind of growing an ecosystem that can bring DeFi to everyone's mobile phones globally. It's a community effort, and so I'm just very, very grateful that everyone here is kind of excited about this and contributing through kind of these incentive programs. I think when you pick where you want to send your money, of course that's you want to pick places that you feel good about from kind of a security perspective. But also I think you want to pick places that that are going to kind of evolve and iterate and keep improving and kind of be very, very competitive in the future. And I think on that front, we have a lot of really exciting things happening that are that coming down the pike. And I think probably the most exciting thing that might be interesting to this audience is kind of this recent announcement around Miston Labs joining the Celo ecosystem. So Miston Labs is a company formed by Evan Cheng. I think he was a former kind of director of engineering at Novi, and a whole bunch of kind of distributed systems experts that came from DM. And they just entered a strategic kind of long-term partnership with the Celo Foundation to work on some really, really great initiatives. And so they're going to bring some research that they did over at DM around this new consensus protocol called Narwhal and Tusk. We think that will make Celo the fastest EVM compatible chain by a long shot. That is decentralized. And so that's, I think, really exciting. Obviously, it's going to take a while to make that upgrade. It's probably going to take around a year. That's what they're predicting. But it's a really strong team of just real experts and it's just going to really be exciting to see that come to fruition. So that's kind of one thing. The other thing that folks might be excited about as well, they also want to add side-by-side support for Move in the platform. So we'll have the EVM, but then also the Move VM. Move, of course, is the smart contracting language that DM built. And so that's going to be really interesting. Move has a bunch of restrictions. It doesn't allow dynamic dispatch. A few things that really make it easier for you to paralyze transaction execution by a lot. And so that's also going to be huge for TPS and for just simple transfers. Probably not for DeFi, right? I think Solidity and the EVM is certainly king. But if you think about allowing people to do payments in those grocery stores that they're doing in those communities I mentioned, or PayU is currently integrating with Celo, so that will be a kind of a massive PSP with a kind of a really big global footprint that will allow you to pay for things with Celo dollars. I think you can pay for Netflix in some markets with them. All of these things will probably want to be running on a VM that's very, very parallelizable, and so this kind of allows DeFi and payments to kind of work side by side while keeping fees really, really low. And so that's all coming. And so, yeah, the future for Celo is really bright. There's just a lot of innovation, a lot of work happening on it. And yeah, just really excited to be teaming up with kind of the sushi community to make it all happen. So
Yeah, amazing.
I think that's, I think that's everything.
Yeah, perfect. No, thank you very much for giving us a deep dive into Ceelo here today, Marek. I really appreciate you coming out. Yeah, I guess as we wrap up here, best give off your website, the socials, any of that kind of stuff, and maybe if we can have some people plug that into the AMA text questions as well, so people have those direct links, that would be amazing. But yeah, where can we find you on the web?
Yeah, so on Twitter, you can find me at just Marek _. So I have a really long, complicated last name, so don't worry, you don't have to worry about it. It's just underscore instead. So MAREK _. The Celo platform, you can learn more by going to celo.org. We also have, of course, our own Discord server, chat.celo.org will redirect you there. Those are probably good places to start.
Yeah, awesome. And then, yeah, to find you on Twitter as well, I think it's just at Ceelo.org.
Yes.
Perfect.
The Celo Twitter handle is at Celo.org.
Yeah, nice.
One word.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so all that stuff, find that there. And anybody that's been in the room here for 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes or more, you will be eligible for a POAP. We are going to try a new system here, the DGen bot. So I'm going to see if that works. I'm going to send that out shortly hereafter. So maybe just stick around after the call just to make sure that this works and get some feedback from everyone. If not, I do have our master POAP v2 as a backup. So we can running in parallel today to try that out. So let's see how this goes. So afterwards, if you don't just get it direct, make sure you do have your DMs open. If you don't have your DMs open, you will not be able to get a POAP from the DGen bot. Yeah, otherwise, if that doesn't work, if you don't get a message from that in the next 10 minutes, yeah, head over to get POAP channel that we do have under the sushi bar and type in !claim. Yeah, be a little bit patient with that. If that doesn't work out, or if none of this works out, just give it a couple of hours and I'll have it all dialed in. So yeah, go with that. And then of course, this has been recorded and will be uploaded onto YouTube, so you can find that on the Sushi official channel. Yeah, have that up hopefully in a couple hours. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, 0xtangle. And yeah, there's always the sesh bot that we have there too for in the calendar channel, and click on the green check mark for the event that you're interested in, and it'll give you some options for notifications. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming out, and let's see you next week. We got some exciting stuff coming too. So thanks again, Marek. Thanks everyone.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
All right, take care.